Welcome to the Path to Mindset Mastery. My name is Brad Bizjack. I'm a mindset strategist and coach, inspirational speaker, and creator of Appreciation Academy, and I'm on a mission to help online business owners break through all the negative self-talk going on up in their mind, holding them back so you can finally see the success that you deserve. And today I want to bring up a topic that's actually really controversial in today's society because most people do the opposite. But first I want to ask you a question. Do you ever find that it's really hard to get motivated, or for some reason you feel negative when you share things with people, or there's just this cloud overwhelming you about not knowing what to do or why you're not getting ahead, and almost like you're always in the defense for some reason, and you find that other people's opinions will upset you and hurt you, and then even if someone else is successful, you almost take it as a personal hit, right? Like it's something against you or that you're doing wrong, and you just would wish there's more positivity in your day, and you don't know why there's not. Well, here's the thing. If you don't feel this way, you should absolutely pay attention to this episode because this will help teach your team something that can really benefit them. But if you do feel this way, this podcast is going to help break you through. And you're talking to someone right now who felt so frustrated for years. I always felt behind. I always felt negative. I couldn't get ahead of my business, and other people were crushing it, and I'd numb myself with food, and I would binge eat nachos at 11 p.m. watching episodes of Criminal Minds, and I had this pretty toxic lifestyle that ate me up inside, wanting to go out 3 or 4 nights a week with these people I worked with, and I would compensate with this fake positivity when inside I was dying, and I wanted to create big dreams, but something held me back. And while my whole course, Appreciation Academy, teaches you how to reverse those thoughts and live in a positive life without negative self-talk so you can actually create the dreams you deserve, this podcast is all about the habits that you might have in your life that are getting in the way without realizing it. So even if you do this mindset work, it might not be working if these habits are part of your life. So I'd like you to rate yourself as we go through this. As we go through it on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with each of these habits? 1 being almost non-existent, 10 being these are daily, even hourly occurrences. Are these toxic habits part of your life? And if so, to what degree? Because if you rate high in all of these areas, it won't matter how much hard work you put in. You'll consistently feel like you're failing. So you ready? Take out your pen and paper and let's dive in. People are addicted to these habits just as much as they are smoking or binge eating or pornography. And I think that these habits ruin people's potential. And instead of sending their life to a tailspin of failure like drugs would, or being addicted to some sort of drug, it sends them to a place of mediocrity where they never quite hit rock bottom. And rock bottom would force them to change, but rather they just feel dull and bored and unfulfilled complacency, which destroys dreams. So I'm going to teach you what these habits are, and then we're going to break through them. So habit number 1 is gossip. Gossip is thought poison, but it's not let's use another example of drugs. It's not like taking heroin. It's much more subtle, and it's over the course of time. It kills you over time. It makes your self-esteem crumble. Your thinking goes south, and it distorts the truth, and it makes us feel this weird feeling of guilt when we weren't expecting to feel guilt. And it's wrong 100% of the time. And anytime you have a negative conversation about someone, that's gossip. And what's interesting, though, is that you'll actually feel that you enjoy it in the moment, right? It actually kind of feels good in the moment. It kind of feels like you're benefiting in some way, it's a breath of fresh air. It feels good, it gives you power in some way to talk about that person behind their back. But here's the thing, without realizing it, even the person you're gossiping about or the person you're gossiping to about someone else starts to decrease their respect for you a little bit. Even if they're gossiping back with you, they still will decrease their respect for you a little bit. It makes you unlikable. And I get that it's really easy, right? It's really easy to do it, but here's the thing. You are in control of your focus, and you are responsible for your life. Does gossiping about other people help improve your life in any way? No. And here's another thing. The people you're gossiping about don't even know that you're doing it. They don't even know you're doing it, so it doesn't even affect their behavior about what you're gossiping about. For example, if you're gossiping about your boss, and your boss doesn't even hear that, so it's not like their behavior is going to change. It just makes you feel worse about yourself, and the person you're gossiping to decrease their respect for you. And that affects the way that you interact with all these people. Hurting people behind their back because you want to change them is always uncalled for. David Schwartz said, taking an axe to your neighbor's trees doesn't make your yard look any better. It's so important that we understand that. Gossip does not make your life better. It makes your life worse. And if you're an achiever and going after big dreams and goals, that's not going to create an environment for you to thrive. So if you want a successful life, give up gossiping. So before we go to the other ones, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means you rarely ever gossip, and 10 means that you gossip all the time. But be totally honest, because self-honesty is freedom. So where are you with habit number 1? Habit number 2 is social media scrolling and TV binging. And I am guilty of this sometimes too. I'm not perfect at this in any way, but I do check myself regularly because that shit ruins dreams. A lot of people hope that one day someone is gonna give them a new job or a new offer, or come and save them and recover you from the job or place that you hate. And what we do to get our mind off of being in this place that we don't want to be, for example, if you're at a job you hate, you'll scroll social media, or you'll go on BuzzFeed, or you'll binge watch shows to get your mind off of what you don't like instead of doing something constructive to build your dreams to what you do like. But if you were to take that same time you spend on social media and binge watching TV shows, I guarantee you that all those other levels of your life would increase so much faster than you could ever imagine. So I shared this statistic in Appreciation Academy, and I want to share it with you today. And let me pull it up on my screen here. Okay, so this will blow your mind. In 2014, Nielsen did a study they basically showed the following. And I bet these stats are even worse now because it's 2019 as this is being filmed. But anyways, the average American watches 5 hours of television per day. 5 hours of TV. And once we pass 65, that jumps to 7 hours per day. So when they took it and they broke it down weekly, kids 2 through 11, 24 hours of TV a week. Kids 12 through 17, 20 hours of TV a week. Adults 18 to 24, 22 hours of TV a week. Adults 25 to 34, 27 hours of TV a week. Adults 35 to 49, 34 hours of TV a week. Adults 50 to 64, 44 hours of TV a week. And adults 65 plus, 51 hours of TV a week. So based on the average American lifespan of 78.7 years, that's 129,048 hours of TV over the average American lifespan. That's 5,377 consecutive days of nonstop watching TV, not even getting up to pee or to eat. That's just 24/7 straight TV. And here's the hard part. This is what might be hard to chew on. That's 14.7 years. 14.7 years of consecutive no pee break TV watching. And people wonder why they're not fulfilled. 15 years. Think about this. If you have a 15-year-old child, that means that you watch TV for the entire time they've been alive over the course of your life. Think of where you were 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I was just beginning, where was I? I was just beginning high school. And I think about from where high school to where I am now, 15 years of that entire time was just spent straight TV watching. That's what most people do with their over the course of their life. This is toxic time. It's wasting dreams. It's boredom. Then factor in social media. The average person, what does it say in my notes here? The average person in the world spends 2 hours per day on social media. BuzzFeed, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's 6.5 years on social media over the course of a lifetime if you average it out. So when you add all this together, that's 21.2 years of not even getting up to pee, not even eating, toxic, wasted time. That is 26.9% of your entire life wasted on shit that you don't even give a shit about. So think about this. The amount of time it takes your kid to grow up and go away to college and graduate college, that's how much of your life you're wasting if you're in alignment with those statistics. So I have a theory that insane amounts of TV leads to depression. It takes away our creative juices. It gives us anxiety because we always feel behind and overwhelmed. And it makes us rationalize that we're too busy, but really we're not too busy at all. You're too busy to change your life? No, I don't think so. You don't need TV to chill. You need a purpose to be fulfilled by. And now, one thing to think about too is that I'm not saying watching a movie for entertainment every once in a while is a bad thing, or watching a show at the end of the day to cool out at the end of your day is a bad thing. That's not what I mean. I don't want you to think that I'm saying you should never watch TV or go on social media. I'm just saying that you're not too busy for your dreams. I'm just saying that too much of it can be toxic. I still watch TV. I still watch movies. I still go on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. But I make sure I get my stuff done first. You don't need TV to chill. Passion will light you up. Passion will entertain you. We'll talk more about passion in a different podcast. But it's so important that, have you ever noticed that like when you marathon binge watch TV, you actually feel more tired? At the end of it, you actually feel more tired. That's because you're draining yourself with mindless BS. There's only a limited amount of stimulus that TV can provide. And sure, like there's nothing wrong with the show here or there. I love Breaking Bad. I love Game of Thrones. And we can talk about the ending of Game of Thrones at a different time. But I chase my dreams first. And I use it as a reward for a job well done. I schedule my toxic time at the end of a hard day as a reward. For example, if I say you can't have bread, what do you think about all week? Bread. But if I say, hey, every day you can have some bread if you eat your vegetables all day long, well, then you go, okay, cool, I'm gonna eat my vegetables, I'll get bread at 3 p.m. today. It makes it so much easier to eat vegetables if you don't have it totally eliminated. So I schedule it into my day. So rate yourself. Scale of 1 to 10. Like 1 is you're a rock star at this and you don't really do it very often. 10 is that it sucks up all your time. It consumes your life. That's how you recharge. That's what you do on the weekends. Where are you on that scale? Then we have habit number 3, and that is complaining. This is even worse, and it's toxic. So are you guilty of complaining? I am, by the way. I am. I complain from time to time. I'm not perfect at this. I still catch myself doing it. By no means am I perfect at this stuff. I'm sharing with you what I take an analysis of on my life to better my own life, and I'm sharing that with you. We just need to remember that if you're complaining, all it means is that you're afraid to take action. So I'm going to teach you how to bust through fears in Appreciation Academy, how to find that passion in Appreciation Academy, but think about it. With complaining, you have to think that something better exists. Whether that's a better job, more money, a more loving partner, a better house, a better car, a better country to live in, you name it. If you complain, it's because you think something better exists. Complaining is only about circumstances that you could change, but have chosen not to. Jack Canfield does a great job explaining this in his book, The Success Principles. He talks about how we have this imagined life, or this better life that we have in mind, or better circumstances that we really, really want, but we're unwilling to take the risks to make that happen. So think about it. You only complain about things that you could do something about if you really wanted to. Jack gives the example of gravity and how nobody ever complains about gravity, but why is that? Without it, people wouldn't fall down the stairs or get in plane crashes or fall off cliffs. But no one complains about it. Why? Because you can't do shit about it. It just is. Complaining won't change it at all. You can't change gravity if you complain about it, right? He talks about how we actually take gravity and then we use it to enjoy life. We ski, we snowboard, we play basketball. They all require gravity, right? So we take it, this thing that we can't control, instead of complaining about it, we change it to make it our benefit. Another example, though, on the flip side is the president. Do you ever waste your time, and I say waste your time intentionally? Do you ever waste your time talking about who's in office? And I say strongly waste your time because it is a waste of time. Isn't that so true? You have the ability to do something about it. You could move to a different country if you really don't think this place is that great, which is bullshit. You could move somewhere else. You could choose to not pay attention to politics, right? Which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But you're afraid. You're afraid of the consequences of moving to a different country because your family, your friends, everything you know is here. And you're afraid to flood your mind with something other than this because complaining about it makes you feel significant in some way, like you actually affect change at that level. But you could still do something about it, but you don't. So the circumstances you complain about are situations you can change, but you've chosen not to. You can change it with your focus, with your action, but you've chosen not to. And you need to take responsibility for that. So quit complaining about things. It's just that it involves some risk. Being unemployed, being laughed at, being wrong, being single, all that stuff, complaining about those things. You could do something about all of them. So what people do to avoid this risk is they just stay in one spot and complain. So complaining is avoiding risk. That's what it is. Anytime you hear someone complain about something, it's a reference point for something better that they would prefer, but they're unwilling to take the risk in creating it. That's what it is. It's just a reference point for what they want to change in their life, but they're too afraid to. So have you ever noticed that the people you complain to can't do anything about your circumstances? Because it's easier and less risky to tell them about it. It takes courage to tell your boss that you don't like the way they micromanage you. So you text your girlfriend about it instead, which only results in you feeling hopeless and worse about your day, right? So your solution is really, really simple. Either one, accept where you are and stop bitching. Two, accept the risks that come with changing your life and act. Or three, replace complaining with making requests and taking action that will lead you to what you want in your life. If you find yourself in a situation that you don't like, either work to make it better or leave. It's 100% up to you to make the change to see something different in your world. The world doesn't owe you anything. You have to create the world that you want, my friend. Complaining only brings you down. It ruins other people's day. When you complain, you only focus on what you don't want. So you create more of what you don't want, because whatever you look for, you find. It's time that you change that. So, scale of 1 to 10. Where do you fall here? Do you complain a lot? And about your spouse, whatever it is. It could be anything on social media, whatever it is. Where do you fall on a scale of 1 to 10? Rate yourself. 10 being really, really bad, 1 being you barely do it. Habit number 4 is blame. This includes, by the way, blaming yourself. So this is worse than all the other ones combined, really. Like Wayne Dyer says, all blame is a waste of time. No matter how much fault you find in another, and regardless of how much you blame him, it will not change you. So if you blame someone or something, you need to remember that it's you that responded the way you did. You can blame an event for your lack of results, sure. You can blame the weather, the economy, being broke, the president, your family history, but this would be a load of bullshit, because it's never a lack of resources that's the problem. It's the lack of resourcefulness. You can simply change the way you respond to the events in your life until you get the results that you want in your life. Everything you experience today is the result of the choices you have made in the past. Even if something traumatic happened, you don't control it, obviously, and it wasn't fair. It was painful, and I empathize with you if that happened. But you do control the meaning you put behind it and how you respond to it. Go back and listen to my podcast, Using the Pain of Your Past to Create Greatness, if you're challenged by that. But you'll never be successful as long as you continue to blame someone else or something else for your lack of success. And that includes yourself. If you're going to crush it at life, you have to understand the truth. It's you who took the actions or didn't take the actions. It was you that did that. It's you who thought the thoughts or didn't think the thoughts. It's you who created the feelings or didn't. It's you who responded to the situation the way that you did. It's you who made the choices to get to where you are now. Even if something tragic happened, you responded in a certain way, didn't you? You are why you are where you are right now. Let me repeat that. You are why you are where you are right now. So rate yourself. Scale of 1 to 10. 1 is you accept full, total responsibility for your life. 10 is you blame others, yourself, or events for why you are where you are. And you might be going, but Brad, what's the difference between taking responsibility for my life and blaming myself? Responsibility is a presence-focused mindset and a commitment to change what you do go forward, a commitment to an action plan go forward, a commitment to a different meaning. Self-blame is past focus, not present focus. It's past focus, a past focus mindset that gives yourself a way out of changing anything. That's the difference. And you can feel a difference in energy between the two. So where do you rate yourself? Scale of 1 to 10 on those. And finally, we have habit number 5. This is one of the most toxic habits you can instill in your entire life, because this does 2 things. It ruins your productivity and it makes you less likable. And that is habit number 5, watching the news. Watching the news. It is one of the most toxic things you can do. So think about it like this. Your body is what your body is fed. That makes sense. The mind is the same way. The mind is whatever the mind is fed. Mind food isn't stuff you get at the grocery store. It's your environment. It's whatever goes in your eyes and your ears will come out your mouth. Whatever goes in comes out. the kind of mind food that we consume determines our habits, the way we approach our life. It determines our attitudes. It determines our personality. Think about it like a bodybuilder. If someone's in peak physical condition, they have a specific way they feed their bodies so they can handle the resistance that they put on their muscles, right? So by the way, to achieve your dreams, and let's use the same metaphor of being in peak physical condition, we need a specific way to feed our mind muscles so we can handle the problems or our version of life's resistance that we push against to sculpt the character of who we are and where we ultimately end up in life. So where am I getting to with this? You need to protect your mind. You must protect your mind. You need to make sure that you stand guard at the gates of your thoughts. It's so important that you do that. Just like peers in your physical environment, what you consume affects your mental environment. That's why I don't watch the news, and I haven't watched it in 7 years. I have not watched the news in 7 years. I can't afford to fill my mind with the negativity and all that bullshit. You can't either. I have too much to give, way too many people to serve, and I don't have time for negativity in my life. I don't want my thoughts to be poisoned by media companies that sell fear as their main product. Now, there is nothing wrong with being an informed citizen, but you have to make sure that where you're getting this information is valid, right? If you watch CNN versus Fox, both have biases, don't they? Right? If you watch Dateline or whatever it is, or 60 Minutes, there is a bias there. There's a reason for doing it. If you're going to consume current events, it needs to be through a medium that is unbiased and just factual. One of the things that I do, one of my board of directors members, Jameson, recommended to me the service Morning Brew, and it's just objective facts, very quick, no bias whatsoever, no emotion behind it, no leading questions by reporters, just this happened, right? That is the only thing I consume, and it's probably like once a week I take a look at it just to see where the stock market is or see what else is going on. I just look at the fact. But I do not watch any network news whatsoever, and I will not, because people that do, if something actually happens in the world that's worth my time, someone that does watch the news is going to say something. But you can't have your mind poisoned by media companies that literally sell fear as their main product. I haven't watched the news in 7 years, and I am doing great. In fact, I am doing fantastic. We need to stand guard at the gates of our minds and make sure that we're only allowing things that come in here, in our eyes and our ears, to cause our lives to be enriched, that'll make our experiences of life so much better, that add to our possibilities, that add to what we can give to the world. And we have to be proactive in doing this. The news is a horrible, horrible representation of reality. It is not reality. It is misconstrued things that are taken completely out of context. Why is that? You have to understand that the news is a business. Please understand this. It makes money from companies willing to advertise with that network. It is a for-profit entity. It is not a charity just telling you information. Its job is not to inform you. Its job is to gain advertising dollars. So why would companies want to invest in news stations? How do they decide who to invest in? They decide based on viewership. The more people that watch and click, the more money is invested. So each news headline has an entire team of people that are trying to get you to click on it. And news stations understand this very well, that human beings will react so much more to painful things than they ever will to pleasurable things. So each headline is specifically crafted to instill fear. Think about Syria. When you think about the country Syria, what do you think of? You think war. You think just horrible things that have happened over there. Well, I have a friend named Rachel who's from Syria that actually knows what it's like, and it's these pictures of beautiful homes and beautiful trees and beaches and all the, or not beaches, but all these things, like the beautiful place to be. The media makes it seen as just this desert wasteland of people getting bombed every day. It's just fear, right? So for example, which newspaper would you pick up? The headline that says 5 newborn puppies were adopted from a shelter today, or a south side of Chicago man arrested on charges for animal abuse for subjecting 5 newborn puppies to dog fighting, right? Like, think about it. Like, which would you pick up? You'd pick up the other one because fear sells. I think about when I went to Cancun, and there are people in our family that said you can't go to Cancun, there are cartels there, right? Well, is that actual Are there cartels there? Yes, absolutely. But what does the news show? Does it show the tens, hundreds of millions of people that go to Cancun on a yearly basis? Or does it show the shooting on the beach from one cartel member to a different cartel member? That's what it shows. So all of a sudden it's a horrible place. Chicago, horrible place. I live in Detroit, right? Detroit is made out to be this horrible place. It's an amazing place. So I'm getting out of line here, or I'm just giving more examples than I need to here, but you get the point. And on top of that, each news station, especially when it comes to politics, has a bias to make one other side look bad, right? It gets you to agree with them. So watching your station builds more frustration within you. So what do? You post a news article on social media and you share how it's bullshit, and you use hashtags like "not my president" and all this other garbage, getting the news channel to get more clicks. And even worse than this, and this is where it actually affects your happiness and your success, is that sharing about the news, sharing about politics makes you look horrible because you're flooded with negativity, even though you're not a bad person. If you do it, it makes you look horrible. So even if you post a cute puppy photo one day, if you share your political opinion the next day with a news article, you confuse people. It's like positivity, negativity. You can't broadcast positivity and negativity and expect people to be inspired by you. It needs to be consistently positive news coming out of your mouth. When you post that stuff, your energy is brought down because you're living in fear. The people who have differing opinions feel judged because you're projecting your opinion onto them, and you can inspire them. So, let's step into the common sense corner for a second. If someone shares a news article about, let's use politics for example. If someone shares a news article about politics, it makes you believe them and want to join forces, right? No, not at all. It doesn't even matter if the news article is factual. Just because the person shared their political opinion, you want to say, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you, right? You don't adopt the opinion because their opinion is judgmental and negative. My point in bringing all of this up is that the news doesn't help people. The news, in terms of what you think of when you actually think of the news, doesn't help people. It doesn't serve people. Since the mind is what the mind is fed, when you flood your mind with the news, what you're doing is flooding your mind with fear. And if your mind is flooded with fear, can you inspire? Can you motivate? Can you uplift? No. Even if you operationally try to do it, it is canceled out. So rate yourself. Scale of 1 to 10. Where are you? Do you flood your mind with politics, with scandal, with murder headlines on a day-to-day basis? Or do you flood your mind with the thoughts and insights from the world's most inspirational people? Rate yourself, scale of 1 to 10. 1 is just, I'm really awesome at this. 10 is, yeah, I watch the news quite a bit. So I bring all of these toxic habits up for a reason. You don't need these 5 habits in your life. Just think about how much more your life would be enriched if you substituted them for something else. What if instead of gossip, you substituted gossiping, instead talking positively behind people's backs? And instead of gossiping about what someone said or did, talk about what great things they're doing in their world, right? When I talk to my peer group, my main guys, we talk about ideas, and if people do come up, it's in a positive way, right? How much better would you feel? What if instead of scrolling on social, you read a book from one of the world's most influential thinkers? Can you imagine how much more motivation you'd have? What if instead of blame, you took responsibility? You knew that if it's gonna be, it's up to me. So how much more would you go after in life? If instead of blame, you took responsibility? What if instead of complaining, you took action and you let go of the fear holding you back? Instead of complaining, you decided, you know what? I understand it's risky, but I'm going to do it anyways. What if instead of watching the news and political headlines, you watch uplifting stories and TED Talks, or if you want to watch entertainment, Ellen, or The Dodo, or whatever it is, you watch uplifting stories? How much more positive would your life be? Life will change very, very quickly because you become a beacon of hope and positivity for other people. My life changed when I changed these 5 things. So I have a challenge for you as we leave here. Give up each of them for 7 full days. No gossip, no complaining, no blame, no scrolling, no news and headlines. Just try it. You'll be blown away at how much your life changes so quickly. The first couple days you're going to be like, what the hell do I do with my life? Right? So just trust and be uncomfortable. That's coming. But after a couple days, you're going to notice you are more creative than you've been in years. You'll get your courage back. You'll get your positivity back. It'll be incredible. Imagine what you could create if you had that flooded into your life every day, life will never be the same. Everything will be different. So I hope you found this so valuable today, my friend. I hope you took a lot away. I'm so passionate about this because I see people they have so much potential and they ruin their future by subjecting themselves to these 5 toxic habits. So rate them. Scale of 1 to 10. 1 is I'm a rock star. 10 is yeah, I do that quite a bit. Where are you? I'm willing to bet that the higher your number is, the less results you have in your life. The higher your number is, the less results you have in your life. So please share this with someone that needs it today. Share it with a friend. Share it with your team. Screenshot this. Share it on your Instagram stories. Let's get this into more people's hands so we can inspire and help more people break through today and get over all that negative self-talk holding them back from seeing the success they deserve. Thank you so much for tuning into the Path to Mindset Mastery. My name is Brad Bizjack. Go out there today and every day and live your life with a genuine smile on your face, because if you remove these 5 habits, you will. I'll see you next week.